When you're born, your first 1 to 2 years is got your biggest physical growth. I mean, babies are born and they almost double physically. They never do that again in their lives. Did you know that?
Yeah. When you think about it, yes, it's true.
So you don't do that. At the same token, for the first 2 years of your life, because you've got so much, we are so useless and helpless when we are born as human beings, human babies. If you look at all the other babies in nature, most of them can actually stand up, they can start walking, all of that
yeah.
We can't do anything. We are so useless. So we have to, in that time, learn the most that we need to learn. So it seems like, no, but you don't. But actually you do. Because you learn to sit, you learn to walk, you learn to talk, you learn to eat, you learn to dress, you learn a lot of things in those first 2 years of your life. So you can't have the luxury of, oh, I don't know if that is right, or I don't know if I like this. You have to be 100% suggestible. So your brain waves are in what we call delta frequency. They're in delta waves. Now, from a hypnotherapy point of view, if I put somebody in delta brain waves, they're in deep trance. They're like drooling out, leaving wet spots on their shirts. So if you think of a baby and a toddler that is in the delta brainwaves, they're 100% connected with their moms, or their primary caregiver, and they just absorb everything. And this is why I've got a photograph of my daughter doing that, where she's sitting on the grass and she picks this blade of grass and she's fascinated. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
So there's so much learning that goes on. We just take it for granted. We don't even look at the grass. It's annoying because it grows and we have to cut it. Whereas I could see the fascination in that moment. So there's no resistance. And then the brainwave changes around about the age of 2 and it goes into theta, which is why suddenly kids have got a little bit of a no. Come here, no, give mommy a kiss, no, give me that, no. You have this like, no, yes. And you get that sort of personality starting to develop. And that goes until about the age of 8.
And that's where they want to be touching things, picking things up, into everything.
so you're still unconscious at this stage. But it's your level of consciousness is rising. So therefore you're starting to develop the character and the personality that is there. But it's still very, very unconscious. And theta is also, it's actually the most ideal kind of state to put somebody in hypnotherapy because of the highly suggestive. So this is the age, if you think about, because now they're starting to experiment and it's just fascination and curiosity. It's exploring into the world. And now mommy goes, no, that's a bad boy. That's a naughty girl. Go sit on the stage. All of that kind of stuff. Kids don't have the reference or the experience to go, I wasn't being naughty. I was just being curious. I'll never forget my daughter. Sorry, it makes me laugh. I had this beautiful phone with a fax machine and everything back in the
Faxes.
One of these big things. And I get into my office and she's on her haunches with a huge big permanent marker, and I'm going, Gabrielle, what are you doing? And she goes, oh, I'm making picture. So I look at her and I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see the buttons. It was all black.
She coloured it all in for you.
So I said, where else have you made picture? And she goes, come, that little hand. And she goes and she pulls the curtains and pulls the coats behind the coat stand. It was just pictures behind everything, all over my house with a permanent marker. Now, I could have gone, oh, that is such a naughty girl. And she could have felt this. She was so excited. If you saw her face, it was just delight. And I could have gone, oh, that's naughty, Gabrielle, and all that kind of stuff. And her experience, where she doesn't have the reference, would have been, I cannot express myself. I cannot do these kind of things because this is the consequence. They don't forget the emotional pain. If you look at all emotions, it's a bell curve, and it starts with nothing, it goes to the top, and then it fades down. But whatever happens on that top can be very significant, that it locks the emotions with the experience. So therefore, every time I have this experience, I feel this emotion, and they get locked in. So I could have done that to her, but I knew that she was just being curious.
Yeah.
And then I just said, you are so good. Such nice pictures. What can you do? I let her off my guard. It's my fault, really. If anybody's going to sit on the naughty step. Right, so that happens up until the age of 8. So this is the age where they absorb, and what we say and how we are, because paradigms, they're watching and they're, being told, and they're being told and they're listening to what's going on. And sometimes they will even hear parents in the background while they're playing. When we think they're not paying attention, they're still listening and they're still taking it in. Parents, I always say, and I say this with great love to everybody, nobody survives childhood. With the best intentions on parents, with all the greatest love, we get it wrong. Parents get it wrong, and it's part of life, and it's part of the push of independence and adulthood. So now we get to 8 and it changes again. And this is where you see, I've heard parents say, oh my goodness, my kid's already a teenager kind of thing. And they're only 10 or they're only 9 years old. And that's because they're in alpha. And alpha is almost at the conscious level. It's a very creative stage. It's a very sort of dream stage rather than the theta, which is more calm and more sort of, okay, give me the suggestion, tell me what to do. Theta is like, oh, actually, this is where we dream. This is where we create that beautiful future that we want. It's always in alpha. So if I bring people too far down in the trance, they might be going, yeah, it would be a great idea to visualize my future, but I'm so comfortable and relaxed, I can't be asked to do it right now. Type of thing. So between 8 and 12 is we've got alpha. And then at around about 12, the brainwave of beta or beta gets developed, and this is where conscious and unconscious separates. This is where it all happens. And this is why teenagers can be so difficult to parents, because parents have had this very nice compliant child learning by my rules. These are my rules. This is how it works. This is what respect is. This is what that is, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly the kid is like, why?
Yeah.
Why must I do that? And for who? And who said? And, they have this whole thing. The peers are more, parents become super uncool when you're a teenager because everybody else's parents are better and your group knows better and you know nothing and you don't understand. So what happens around about the age of 12 is when you get your beta, you've got low beta, you've got medium beta, and you've got a high beta. They're all necessary because they all some level of stress. Now, in stress, we've got eustress, which is positive. So it's a kind of stress if you are creating a presentation and you've had lots of other work and it's a bit last minute, .com type of thing, and then you do it and you've got that stress, you do it. But once it's done, it's like, whew, it's over. You're no longer anxious. It's nothing. Whereas distress, which is the negative stress, it's ongoing. Once one thing passes, I always say to people, stress is an emotion of the future. So I said, so where's this thing? If you could spatially, where's this stress? They would go here. So I said, if it's so important when you get here and you're running this high beta and you get here, why do you not pay attention to it in this moment? Be here because now you're going there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?